Hello everyone, it is me, Maddox again. Okay, so in this video, I am actually going to be talking about Bigfoot. Yes, I'll tell you, talk about from what some of the stuff I've heard, about different theories for it, um, how I got interested in it. Yeah, sorry. And a bunch of other random awesome stuff. So, I guess the first thing I'm going to start out with is how I got my interest in Bigfoot. Well, I always loved watching the shows that originally talked up Bigfoot and looking for Bigfoot back when I was younger. But another big thing that also helped was back in my school library they had a like a little book, like a little mythical, a little book about myths and legends, and one of the pages they had about will talk about like Bigfoot and Loch Ness monster and all sorts of things. And ever since then, I've always been interested. And the picture that they actually had for for Bigfoot was the famous footage of the Patterson Bigfoot, that's turning and looking at you. I'll get to the Patterson and Gimlin footage in a moment. Yeah, I've always been interested in Bigfoot since I was in grade school, because it was so interesting. Like, I always loved like the fact that there's things out there that we don't know about, and that just adds a lot of different excitement to me. And back then, whenever I was back when I was younger, I always thought, if once I see it in like a book or something, like, oh my god, I believe in it. Like, yes, like, all those other things. Now I'm a little bit different. Like, I'm now more into like the evidence kind of like thing. So of course I do believe in Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, because the evidence is there. I mean, some of the things like from Loch Ness monster, like that original footage, that little picture, I mean that was fake, but no, there's people are seeing something in the Loch Ness. But I'll get to the Loch Ness monster. And also other cryptids in another video. But this is Bigfoot. Bigfoot time. Bigfoot time. But anyway, so now I'm more like interested in like now like all the different like things of video and howls and knocks and people getting rocks thrown at them and the footprints. That is compelling evidence for me. Unlike other skeptics who pretty much need a body or bones, but probably much a body for them to convince them a good like almost the entire scientific world that Bigfoot is out there. So yeah, I know someday that one hard proof of evidence will come out, but in my opinion, I'm already a believer. And the day that I go on my first Bigfoot expedition will be amazing. And I am hoping that is going to be with James Bobo Fay with Finding Bigfoot. But yeah, so next thing I'll talk about, well, I guess is Finding Bigfoot. I'll go back to it since I just mentioned it. But Finding Bigfoot, my most favorite show of all time. Like, I grew up to watching like monster, like Animal X on Animal Planet. That was a great show when it was on. And any of those random like shows ever mentioned about Bigfoot on like the science, on the Sci-Fi Channel, the History Channel, the Travel Channel, like all those different channels. I used to watch those things when I was a kid. But now Finding Bigfoot is my top favorite show of all time. Like, when I first met them in New York, in New York Comic Con, I got this shirt. Well, I had to say that my shirt kind of got ruined a little bit. See all those marks? My mom was cleaning something in the washing machine, and they apparently had bleach on it, and she got bleach on my shirt. And actually, after she left, I actually kind of cried a little bit, because that's my most prized possession shirt since I got it. Like, I can easily get a new one on the internet, but it's just the fact where I got that one from. It's just amazing. I love Finding Bigfoot. I am so into the series that when I watch it, like, I like when I'm watching it, I don't do anything else. As soon as it comes on, I take my hand off the remote. I like throw it like a few feet away from me so I don't accidentally change the channel or turn anything off. I don't miss a second of Finding Bigfoot when it's on, because I don't want to miss any. I don't want to miss any of the excitement, any of the fun, any of the mystery of the show. I make sure that I don't do anything, and I literally tell my family, okay, I'm watching Finding Bigfoot. It's a new episode. Do not bother me for the next hour. And so far, it's been doing pretty good. So yeah, Finding Bigfoot, season 3. I'm so excited. Coming in November. Still a long time away. No. But yes, if you want to see my reaction to the Finding Bigfoot season 3 premiere, I'll try to put a link to it in the description below, or just check up on my channel and take a look at that. It's the last video I did just before this one. But yes, Finding Bigfoot, best show ever. Best show ever. Oh yeah, and by the way, if anyone from Finding Bigfoot is watching this, love you guys. You guys are the best. So okay, next up. The most famous evidence of Bigfoot ever known. The Patterson and Gimlin footage, which was shot in California, if I'm correct. And it's the most compelling evidence of Bigfoot ever, even though ever since that's been shot, it's gone through its hellhole of, oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? Criticism. And skeptics and all that, except the skepticism that goes to it. Like there have been different looks at it through Monster Quest and a bunch of other different shows. But the one thing I saw on Monster Quest that they made a really good point is that in some of the things you can see muscle moving, but also when you look at the Bigfoot. Oh, also by the way, the Bigfoot is named Patty because if you can tell in one of the shoes, you can actually see breasts. So, which makes it think that it's a female Bigfoot. So they started calling it Patty for Patterson, Patty. Cleverness. But anyways, that's what they came up with. But if you take a look on when the Bigfoot turns its head and is walking and turns its head and looks at the camera, you see something that looks like a mouth. That apparently, from what some people think, that actually isn't a mouth. What it actually is that if you ever look at like chimpanzees as a good example. I don't know the actual name of it, I forget, but they have like this little lip that goes like over the actual mouth, which makes it looks like they have like another mouth, but if you look at it, and like it kind of has like the like the indent, or like you can actually like see like here. I'll use this claw as an example. I guess you can kind of see how there was a or here we go. I know it's a horrible example, I know, but if you took a look at it, you could see like a like there are lips underneath it. So as a thing that chimpanzees have, they have a little thing that kind of looks like this, so they can really fully play the lips and go like, they can really bring their lips up. And now something they mentioned on the footage that also made a really good point. Another thing that I actually just found out recently was, I don't know the reason to this, and there may be a reason why it may be fake. I believe it is real, but another thing that empowered skeptics is that when the Bigfoot is walking and it turns around those few frames, when it's walking away and when its right foot and the bottom of its foot is showing, apparently it's really white there. So skeptics have gone after that like buzzards on a carcass, trying to say, oh my god, that's fake, or it must be like shoes or something. And really, I don't know what that could possibly be. It could just be that how the camera, how old the type of style that camera was, or the sun. But I can't say definitive about that. But overall, I think it is possibly real. But it's like, they've made a lot of good points in it on how the head is, and like there's a bunch of the different features on it. And they also mentioned that the walk that the Bigfoot make, it's actually almost impossible to do. The Monster Quest crew got the best athlete they could possibly find, and he had hard trouble recreating the walk, the specific walk. Like some people have tried doing the walk, but like it's similar, but it's not the exact same walk. It's who knows, maybe overall Bob Gimlin, the other guy who's with Rob Patterson, who Patterson is actually dead, God rest his soul, but he swears on his life that was not framed, that wasn't like, faked by them at all. And I believe them because I've seen when they did the Finding Bigfoot special around in October, on actually just a day before Halloween, the 30th of October. They did the making of a legend, the birth of a legend, or whatever, and they did a 2-hour special. Amazing! of them going to the exact spot and everything. And you'd actually notice that if you actually, like, in the actual footage, it looks like the Bigfoot is a lot farther away. But really, if you actually went to the actual spot where it happened, they were actually really, really close to it. I mean, like, they were super close. I mean, they were probably maybe like a total of, like, I know I'm bad with like distance wise, but they were at least a good like 50 feet away, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, away from the actual Bigfoot. From the actual footage, it looks like it's so far away up until near the end of the film when it's walking farther away. So obviously, but the very beginning, when you first get a good look at it, they're actually a lot closer than the video actually makes it seem. So that was another interesting thing that I enjoyed while looking at it. But the the Patterson footage, we may never know 100% whether it is true or not. Maybe someday they will find something that maybe other people didn't see. Like, people are finding different things about it almost every day, almost like every. Oh, yeah. People are almost finding different things about it a lot. So who knows? Maybe we'll find that one thing saying yes, this is real, or no, this is fake. Only time will tell. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's this one's going. This next thing I'm gonna be talking about is the origin of Bigfoot, where Bigfoot, or at least the species of Bigfoot, originally came from. Bigfoot has bleh. The Bigfoot species was first actually came from the Himalayas, where Yeti lives. And back in around a long time ago, there used to be an animal called Gigantopithecus, which pretty much, if we call it, was a Bigfoot, like a huge Bigfoot, like 10, 11 foot Bigfoot. And this thing lived in the Himalayas, and this thing is known to exist. There are fossil records of it. There are teeth. There are some bones. Mainly the teeth are mainly the easy one, the best ones to find, because originally the natives used to crush them and used to crush them and make them into powder, and they believed it was for medicine. And so there is fossil. We did know this creature exists. So that's where the possible theory of Bigfoot came from. That the Bigfoot and any other Bigfoot-like creature, especially the ones in North America and all over the place, are actually descendants of the Gigantopithecus. And what happened was, people say, well, wait, that was on a different continent. How did it come to North America? Well, it's actually quite simple. Around the time that the Ice Age was happening, and there was an ice land bridge between, I guess, Japan and like China-like area, over to Alaska, where there was an ice bridge. That is a possibility that they crossed over, and then just moved it out through the entire North America. And stuff like that. So maybe that explains where they came from, like Australia. You never know. They could have traveled over from Africa, went down, and went or wherever. That's us. Yeah. So there could have been an ice bridge that actually took them to Australia, or there could have been a species that already lived in Australia. And by the way, the species that lives in Australia is called the Yowie, which they went to in finding Bigfoot, which is gonna be amazing. Sorry, I get really excited for season 3. But anyway, so then the descendants just came down, and some people say, well, why haven't we seen video of Bigfoot yet, and all sorts of things. And really, if you think about it, if you think about it, there's so much wilderness there's so many parts of the world. We won't get into the ocean. The ocean's insane. We will never discover everything in the ocean. But in the forest, there are a lot of thick, wooded areas that something could easily hide or move around undetected for years, and no one would ever find it. Like some remote areas of the world of the forest, where by chance that someone will walk by and come by there, and really, who knows? Like another who. No, I'm hoping someday that I will see one, because people always why don't we see them more? Well, another thing is, this is the fact that I've always came up with that involved with any other type of cryptid or anything like that. People always say, I'll use Loch Ness Monster as a good example. If the Loch Ness Monster was true, this is what people say. If Loch Ness Monster was true, why don't we see more of them breaching for the surface? Like, if this is some sort of because the thing is descendant of a plesiosaur, and so they got trapped around there. So I'm thinking, well, this thing did breathe air every so often. It was a complete fish. It was kind of a mammal. But so, like, why don't we see it coming up for air anymore? Or, like, we don't you think we would find a carcass that would wash up on the beach or something? Well, think about it for a second. Like any species, what does every species go through? An evolution. So when it comes down to, like, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and all those other things, why couldn't they have evolved to a way that maybe they can live longer and don't have to breed as much? Maybe they're like, I don't know. Maybe I think it's like, okay, like the white sturgeon. That thing lives up to like 100 years, but it only starts breeding around like 20 when it's around like 20 years, and that's a long time. And normally things breed for like every like 3 or 10 years. That's when they're able to like sexual maturity. So why can't it be that maybe these things have evolved into, like, they don't have to breed as much, or maybe they live longer so they don't have to breed as much. That's why there's not more of them out there. Or the fact that for me the plesiosaur has evolved the gills, or it can hold its breath for even longer periods of time. That was unexpected. So this thing could maybe hold its month. Maybe after evolution, this thing evolved to a way that it can hold its breath for maybe days, maybe months. We don't know that, and we may never know that. But people have to put that into mind, that evolution may have also played a part onto why and how some of these things may act, or why we don't see them more. They gotta put those into perspective too. But like, okay, I understand where they're going with this, but evolution. I've never heard of anyone ever mentioning anything about evolution or why some things do differently than we think that we would. Like some people say, well, when a Bigfoot walks in front of a person's car, or a vehicle or some sort, they're like, well, if I was a loud animal, or if I was an animal, I wouldn't go anywhere near a loud noise. I'll move away. I wouldn't cross in front of it. But you never know. Bigfoot and many other creatures have a high thing of curiosity, and so I don't know why it couldn't be that either they're not scared, or maybe we don't know. Maybe we don't even know all the personality of animals, like humans and pets. There are so many personalities we can't even count. Why can't it go for wild animals? They have personalities too. I mean, why maybe they could be either, maybe some are more bold, some are more scared, some are more aggressive than others. We never know. Like so many different types species of Bigfoot. Some are like the very gentle kind, or like they're more like the curious kind. They just look behind you. Some of them will throw rocks at people. Some of them maybe charge animal sticks, or maybe angry, like Bigfoot. Roar! But you never know. We may never know, because remember, personality and evolution is definitely a big thing that can happen when it comes to the thing for cryptids and Bigfoot. So, whew, man, that feels really good. That I've had that like feeling and like that thought in me for so long that it feels so good to let it all out, how I feel about all of that. So yeah, so evolution and personality, those are probably the two big things of why that people need to start putting into account, of why we don't find some cryptids and why some animals act differently than what we think that animals should act. We're never gonna know the full personality and nature of animals. It's never gonna happen. There are too many personalities, natures, that anything will happen. Whew, that was a long rant. That felt really good. Okay, this next one is possible theories for Bigfoot. This one I actually saw on another History Channel show called Ancient Aliens. Was it Ancient Aliens or something else? But yeah, it was Ancient Aliens. And they said that some of the theories is that Bigfoot is actually an alien, and that it's a possibility that either Bigfoot is an alien of a species of aliens that was brought to here from another alien race as like maybe like they're like the outcasts or like prisoners, and they just brought them on here. Because what happens, what I've saw is a lot of UFO sightings are also seen sometimes around this are Bigfoot sightings. So some people put one and one and got fish together, which or one to one made three kind of like thing. So sometimes some people think that Bigfoot is actually an alien and was just brought here as maybe an experiment gone wrong, or just like like I said before, like a captive or or of a species of alien that the other aliens didn't want. They're just leaving them here. So really, who knows? Another theory that I also came up with is that Bigfoot, or another theory that they heard, that Bigfoot are actually original inhabitants of the world, and we're actually the aliens. Maybe we are an experiment that was brought to here on Earth, and that completely changed, or now, and if we came onto their planet, which would count the Bigfoot, and maybe we drove into extinction, and there's, and who never know. I mean, like, okay, a lot of these ideas sound really far fetched, but who knows? We really will may never know, unless we meet an alien and say, hey, what's up, ET? Bigfoot, you guys into these guys? Like, nah. I'm like, nah, we're not involved with these guys. Or yes, we are. We come in peace. Spock and all that. We may never know. Maybe we will. Probably won't. Probably won't, because it's one of the many mysteries of the world that just make Bigfooting so exciting. But yeah. So that's one of the major theories I heard. Let's see. Yeah, apparently, besides Bigfoot, there are actually other species of things that are not really Bigfoot-like, but they're more like cavemen. In other parts of the world, they've gone through a possible that some Bigfoot are actually not even like animals, but actually more like primitive man, like cavemen kind of like thing. And because some stories have pointed more towards like a primitive, like caveman like thing than a full blown harried creature like a Bigfoot. Like these cavemen like creatures, like a caveman. They're hairy, but apparently they like clothes. You can see a lot more skin than you would on a full blown hairy Bigfoot. But who knows? There are so many interesting things about the world that I will do another video of the mysteries of the deep and the coolness involved with all that. And so who knows? I really do think that someday that one piece of evidence will come. Like, I already believe that the Patterson footage is already the one evidence, but more recent evidence will, make believers out of many people. And I'm hoping that someday that someone does get that footage or does get that picture. I want more of a footage, because footage is more believable than pictures. But Bigfoot, if you're watching this, because I know you are, because I know I'm coming for you. I'm gonna start Bigfooting as soon as I can, as soon as I find the right location. Because the one thing that stinks about living in eastern Pennsylvania, there are no good Bigfooting spots. I mean, not with any good party spots, with me traveling like a while to get to. Like Ohio is probably like the best place I can go to. That's like a 6-10 hour drive, and who knows. I've heard Gettysburg is also a good place, but that's definitely what I'm going to try to do. Gettysburg, coming after you. But whenever I do, I've tried to do this Bigfoot expedition since like the winter, and I just haven't been able to do it. Like I have some people who are interested, but it's just location. Like, you can't just go out. Like, I want to be sure that there's a good chance I might get something, like anything at all, any sort of evidence. And I'm hoping that someday that I will go Bigfooting, and it will probably be the best freaking moment of my life. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I do a bunch of different videos, gaming, stuff like this, my day, and a whole bunch of other things. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscription button that's right around here. Comment below, tell me what you think, and I'm hoping that you guys will have a great day. So, the Maddox is out.